In this video, we're going to be breaking down 5 MLB games happening on August 16, 2026, and providing you with a side pick and a total pick for every matchup. As usual, visit our channel for the rest of today's game picks and stick around until the end because you won't want to miss out on anything. Texas Rangers versus Athletics, Sunday afternoon in West Sacramento, and this 3-game set has developed a strange little pulse that not many people saw coming a week ago. Texas walked into the weekend expecting a soft landing against a struggling opponent, and instead they got out-muscled in the opener before scratching out a comeback on Saturday night that felt more like exhaling than dominating. The visiting club sits at a record of 61-63, running low on wild card cushion, and they're staring down a getaway spot after a late Saturday finish, with cross-country travel wear starting to creep into their bats. Texas hands the ball to a lefty whose whole 2026 story is a slow return from serious elbow surgery, and his tiny sample of starts paints a guy throwing plenty of strikes but not actually missing any bats. When a starter can't rack up whiffs in the modern game, hard contact tends to find grass, and grass is not exactly a friendly outcome in the yard he's walking into today. The home team counters with a southpaw who has quietly become one of the more locked-in arms on the West Coast since coming back up from AAA. He's dropped his opponent batting average down below the 200 line and jumped his strikeout rate into the high 20s across his last stretch of starts, capping it off with a 7-inning gem against the best club in the American League a few nights back. Meanwhile, the visiting bats have been hibernating over the last 10 games, hovering around a team batting average of 207, and that is the sort of number that jumps off the page no matter how charitably you try to frame a cold stretch. The market has taken all of it in, tagging the home side at plus money in a spot where a couple of the well-known predictive models actually treat the game as a straight-up push. Home underdogs at plus money in matchups where the math sees a genuine coin flip are exactly the kind of quiet inefficiencies you want in your corner before the closing bell rings. Add in a road team clearly stumbling through a punishing stretch, a home crowd still humming from Friday's runaway result, and a warm California afternoon where the hosts feel no pressure at all, and the ingredients start to line up in a very specific direction. As our first pick for this matchup, the Athletics money line is our full game side pick. Sutter Health Park has quietly earned its reputation as a converted minor league yard that plays a touch friendlier for hitters than most casual fans realize, with a compact right field wall that has been feasting on fly balls all summer long. Sacramento in the middle of August is not messing around either, with the forecast calling for a mid-90s afternoon, dry desert-adjacent air, and a soft southerly breeze drifting through the outfield. Warm air, low humidity, and a snug ballpark make for a combination that adds a little pop to launch angles and shrinks the outfield a step further than the numbers on paper would ever suggest. Both relief corps are hanging on with duct tape after a bruising summer of injuries, with the road setup crew carrying wear from a long West Coast swing and the home team's middle relief still coughing up runs at all the worst moments. That matters more in a Sunday getaway spot than it does on a random weeknight, because both managers usually shorten their leashes and lean on the pen earlier to keep arms healthy for the next city on the schedule. There is a fair objection here that deserves an honest nod. Obviously, the first 2 games of the set both landed on the quieter side of the scoreboard, and neither lineup has been mashing across the last 10 contests. Scoring appetites in this park tend to flip fast when the temperature climbs, though an afternoon getaway starts historically produce more crooked innings than late-night finales do. Blend the ballpark tilt, the weather push, the tired arms in relief, and the built-in Sunday quirkiness, and the run environment feels a little more generous than the market is treating it. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Quick commercial break. You know the deal. If you want to get our exclusive best sport picks to take things to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Go check it out. Commercial break over. Now back to the game. Colorado Rockies versus San Francisco Giants. 2 teams sitting deep in the National League West basement, both wondering how the season slipped away, meet again on a Sunday afternoon by the bay. This one has a different flavor than the rest of the weekend, though. On the mound for San Francisco is a guy who has spent most of the year working out of the bullpen, popping up for the occasional spot start when the rotation needed a warm body. That matters way more than any tidy earned run average might suggest, because when a pitcher is being stretched to 60 or 70 pitches instead of a full 100, the whole game plan basically becomes get through 4, hand it to the pen, and hope for the best. and that pen already got dinged up in the series opener when the visitors punched out a Friday night win. Meanwhile, the Giants' offense has been stuck in mud lately. They rolled into this weekend having dropped 4 straight series, and their steady infield presence, Willie Adamaze, has been on the shelf with a lingering back strain the club is refusing to formally call an injured list situation. Colorado, for their part, has already shown this weekend they can walk into Oracle Park and grind out a win. Their bats did it on Friday behind a strong outing from Kyle Freeland, and they get another crack at it with the price stacked in their favor as the visiting club. Warren Schaefer's bunch has nothing to lose here, and honestly, that loose, house money vibe tends to play pretty well against a home team that's been pressing after a long summer of frustration. When a favorite has to lean on a converted reliever early and then live with a bunch of matchup calls the rest of the afternoon, the door swings wide open for the visitor to steal one. As our first pick for this matchup, the Colorado Rockies money line is our full game side pick. Both starters walking out to that mound this afternoon come with question marks you can spot from a mile away. Gabriel Hughes is still hunting for his first big league win and has taken some lumps in most of his appearances this summer. The Giants counter with an arm that has spent almost the entire year in relief, so building him up for a full, deep start just isn't really in the cards. Put those two together and you've almost guaranteed both bullpens get called into duty a lot earlier than any manager would prefer. Layer on the fact that the Rockies relievers had to eat a bunch of innings on Saturday after Michael Lorenzen barely got through 3 and change, plus a Giants pen that has been stretched all week long, and you've got tired arms on both sides being asked to record huge outs late. Add in the weather, and things get a little spicier. The forecast is calling for a west-southwest breeze somewhere around 10 to 20 miles per hour, which basically acts like a gentle shove out toward the left side of the yard. That famous marine air by the cove usually deadens the baseball, but a decent tailwind changes the geometry a bit, giving warning track flies a real shot to sneak over. The 2 games already played in this series flew in very different directions too, with Friday hanging in one modest zip code and Saturday sailing right past thanks to a big 4th-inning outburst from the home side. Now, there's a fair argument going the other way, since Oracle Park is Oracle Park, and Colorado's bats can go ice cold in the blink of an eye. Still, when both pitching staffs show up thin, when both offenses need a jolt just to feel alive, and when the breeze picks a side for the afternoon, the math starts leaning one way. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Kansas City Royals versus Los Angeles Angels. There's something about a Sunday getaway spot that just feels different, and this one has that scent all over it. Kansas City walked into Anaheim on Friday and jumped ahead in this series with a wild opener that ended in their favor. Saturday flipped in a heartbeat with a 1-run scrap that the home side snuck out, but you don't need to squint hard to see which club has been the more comfortable one across the last 3 days. The southpaw taking the ball for the visitors has been on a stretch you almost can't ignore. Over his most recent handful of outings, he's been carving through lineups like a chef who suddenly remembered why he loved his job, mixing in a full 5-pitch mix, calling his own game, and quietly turning what looked like a shaky first half into a run of starts you'd happily build a rotation around. Now look at what he's stepping into on the other side. The Halos rotation has been gutted for months by long-term absences to a couple of their key arms, and the young right-hander getting the nod on Sunday has been carrying a bloated earned run average that tells the story on its own. He's coughed up a home run in 8 consecutive outings, which is the kind of trend that doesn't just flip overnight because the calendar changed pages. There's also the shape of the whole matchup to think about. This is a home team that stumbled repeatedly when favored against central opponents this summer, and the visitors have been quietly stacking a strong stretch as road underdogs against American League clubs. Now, fair warning, the Halos did show a little life on Saturday when they held a hot Kansas City offense scoreless, so this isn't a total layup. The counter is that even in that win, they only pushed a single run across, meaning they needed a near-perfect pitching night just to steal one game. When you stack a starter throwing the ball this well against a starter who can't seem to keep it in the yard, and the 2 lineups have already shown you their rhythms across this series, the picture kind of paints itself. As our first pick for this matchup, the Kansas City Royals money line is our full game side pick. Now let's talk about the scoreboard. Anaheim in August sounds like a spot where the ball should fly, and yeah, the temperature is climbing into the mid to high 90s by first pitch, but the wind is a soft northeast whisper hovering under 7 miles per hour. That kind of calm air does absolutely nothing to help a fly ball find the seats. Angel Stadium plays fairly neutral across a full season anyway, and the deeper power alleys eat plenty of well-struck balls that would leave other yards. Here's the thing that stands out most though. The home side has been part of one of the loudest low-scoring trends in the sport this year, landing on the quieter side of the total in the clear majority of their games, and the visitors sit comfortably on that same side of the ledger when you spread out their whole season. Now, to be fair, this series did open with a shootout on Friday that blew past 9 total runs, and if you only looked at that game you'd think the bats never sleep in this matchup. The counter is that the very next night landed at just 1 combined run on the board, which shows you exactly what these two clubs look like when the arms are locked in and the offense has to earn everything. There's another wrinkle that quietly matters. Both dugouts just played back-to-back late-night starts, and now they're rolling into a Sunday afternoon getaway spot where legs feel heavier, timing is a hair off, and pre-game routines get squeezed. Day games after night games tend to shave a couple of runs off what would normally be a lively total. Add in a pitching staff on the home side that misses more bats than almost anyone in the league, an offense from the visiting side that has been more feast or famine than a steady run producer, and the recipe just doesn't scream fireworks. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Milwaukee Brewers versus Los Angeles Dodgers. Milwaukee's been quietly turning heads all summer long, sitting on top of the entire sport with a record of 76-48. This is a club that stopped needing anyone's permission to be taken seriously. They walked into Chavez Ravine and grabbed 2 of the first 3 games in this set, and now they're rolling into the finale with the vibe of a team that genuinely believes it belongs on any stage, at any address, against any name on the marquee. Then there's the elephant in the room over on the other side. The defending champs threw a mountain of prospects at the trade deadline to land a 2-time Cy Young winner, expecting him to slot in like a plug-and-play cheat code for October. Reality's been a little bumpier than the fantasy. 2 starts in the new uniform, 2 outings that felt more human than superhuman. The road debut against the Cubs ended with a loss stitched to his ledger, and the home debut in front of his new fan base got noticeably shakier as it went along. Here's the thing about swapping leagues in August. The scouting book resets. Hitters start hunting the tell that hasn't been cataloged yet, and the ace has to earn that fear all over again, one at bat at a time. Milwaukee, by the way, already got a look at this guy earlier in the season when he was pitching in a different color, so they're not staring at a mystery box. Now think about what a little breathing room does to a ticket like this. You don't have to steal the game outright. You just have to keep it close, which is exactly what this series has looked like from the very first pitch. Every single meeting has been a one-score affair, the kind of tight, gnarly baseball where a single well-placed base hit swings the entire night. The Milwaukee bullpen has been one of the steadier groups in the league all year, and they've already flashed that reliability in this very set, closing the door in one game and grinding through a heartbeat rally in another. Honestly, when the best team in the sport walks into a matchup wearing the underdog jersey, that's usually a spot the market is quietly offering you at a discount. As our first pick for this matchup, the Milwaukee Brewers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Now shift the lens to how many runs actually end up crossing the plate. Dodger Stadium has a personality all its own. That late afternoon marine layer starts creeping in from the coast. The ball loses a touch of carry once the sun tucks behind the pavilion, and the sprawling foul territory just keeps swallowing outs that would land in the seats at other yards. It's a pitcher's park, and it doesn't apologize for being one. The forecast is playing along too. Warm, sure, but not the sticky, syrupy kind of warm that turns baseballs into golf balls. The winds are polite, hovering in the single digits and drifting in from the north rather than pushing lazy fly balls out toward the bleachers. Nothing about the conditions is whispering to hitters that today's the day. Then there's the arm the Brewers are handing the baseball to. A young right-hander sitting on a sub-3 earned run average, a WHIP living somewhere south of 1, and a changeup that scouts have been raving about since he was climbing the minor league ladder. Guys like that don't just collect strikeouts, they keep bats off balance inning after inning, which is how you strangle a game before the crooked numbers ever get a chance to show up on the board. Layer in what the scoreboard has actually been doing in this series. The last 2 games between these two clubs have combined for a grand total of 9 runs, and that's not a fluke. LA's offense, for all the star power stitched onto that lineup card, has looked strangely quiet across this recent stretch. Hits have been scattered, rallies have fizzled at the wrong moments, and it's been happening across enough games now that it's stopped feeling like a temporary blip. Sure, either side can flip a switch at any moment. That's baseball, and pretending otherwise is how you get burned. Both lineups carry the kind of thump that can turn a sleepy afternoon into a track meet with a couple of well-timed swings. But capable and probable aren't the same animal, especially when you stack the pitching pedigree, the ballpark's DNA, and the recent scoring pattern on top of each other. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Seattle Mariners versus Houston Astros. There's something almost stubborn about the way this matchup keeps playing out, and it barely cares what the standings claim. Houston sits at the top of the West and Seattle sits well underwater, yet whenever these two clubs share a diamond, the road team keeps walking out with the win. The season series has essentially been a one-sided affair. Seattle has taken this year's head-to-head at a lopsided 8-2 clip, and that includes a double-digit outburst on Saturday night that pretty much reminded the room how quickly this lineup can flip a game inside Dakin Park. Now the arm on the hill for Houston is Hunter Brown, and most fans still picture the version who was cruising through a Cy Young caliber campaign last September. Here's the thing though, Brown hasn't been that guy since coming back from a grade 2 shoulder strain that wiped out April, May, and a chunk of June. Across his last 7 trips to the mound, his earned run average has climbed north of 4.5, and he's issued 21 walks in barely 39 innings, which is honestly a red flag for a pitcher who used to live around the zone with total confidence. His last outing in San Francisco was another 5-inning, 3-run, 3-walk grind, and it's the kind of stat line that says a guy is still searching for his final gear rather than dictating counts the way his 2025 self used to. The rest of the picture doesn't do Houston many favors either. They've compiled a mark of 20-24 in games where the betting world has called them the favorite this year, which honestly tells you how their season has felt for anyone tracking the ledger day by day. Their bats went eerily quiet the night before, and the offense has shown a habit of running hot then cold instead of stringing together week-long stretches of dominance. Sure, Seattle's road record is nothing to write home about, and the Houston lineup can still shred any game plan with one swing. But this specific matchup, in this specific ballpark, has stopped following the script the standings would write. Seattle just keeps finding a way in Houston, and nothing in the current form suggests that pattern is about to reverse tonight. As our first pick for this matchup, the Seattle Mariners money line is our full game side pick. There's a certain rhythm this weekend series has already found, and it hasn't exactly been the pitcher's duel Sunday night baseball tries to sell you. Friday's opener produced 17 combined runs. Saturday's game piled on 15 more, 2 straight nights, 32 runs on the scoreboard, and traffic all over the base paths. Now sure, past scoreboards don't force future ones, but the offensive engines that showed up on those nights don't just vanish because a new lineup card gets printed. Yordan Alvarez has been in the middle of a monster year, sitting right near the top of the American League home run leaderboard while hitting for a genuinely absurd batting average, which is the kind of profile that lets one turn on a mistake and completely rewrite the math of a ball game. Add in a Seattle offense that finally reintroduced itself to the run column with double-digit output the night before, and the pieces for another loud scoreboard are pretty much stacked on the table. And then there's the pitching side of the ledger, and this is where things get a little spicier. Bryan Woo has been living at home when he's at his sharpest, but his road numbers this summer paint a rougher picture, with an earned run average well above 6 away from T-Mobile Park since early June. Walking into a warm Houston ballpark against a lineup that's already familiar with his shapes is not exactly the friendly reset his splits would prefer. On the flip side, Hunter Brown's inability to stretch out consistent length has forced Houston's bullpen to keep grinding through middle innings, and once both managers start reaching for their pens, this kind of matchup tends to open up in a hurry. The trend column doesn't fight the argument either, with Seattle's totals blowing past the number in 4 straight against American League West opponents and Houston's home games clearing it in 5 of the last 6. The roof at Dakin Park will almost certainly stay shut against the August heat, meaning no wind interference and a fair ball flight setting where mistakes get punished at full price. Honestly, this feels less like a low-scoring chess match and more like two offenses ready to trade haymakers against pitchers who might not have their sharpest weapons in the bag tonight. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.